Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Etheria restart video. So in today's video, guys, I wanted to address the things that the developers came out and talked about in their dev note, because in all honesty, there wasn't much in here. It was kind of just like promises. Uh, so I wasn't very excited about this, but a lot of this was honestly them just asking us to give feedback. So I found that kind of funny. But anyway, I thought it would be kind of a fun video for me to tell you the ways that I would end up fixing these things. And I'm planning on posting this uh, on their Discord as well, just to get it down, in writing to talk about the things that I think can be done. Because in all honesty, I don't think it's going to be that hard to do. It's whether or not they want to do it and they think that it's going to cost them money in the long term, where they find a more monetizationable option than the things that I'm proposing. But yeah, I know you guys have seen tons of videos about this, and I'm not going to read through this because, in all honesty, there's just nothing there. But they did again ask, what would we do? So the very first thing that they talk about is this time sink. Like, okay, I know this seems like a very stressful, frustrating thing for people to do without feeling like they've progressed at all. And I think the easiest thing for this company to do to get rid of that is whenever it comes to the weekly quests, I think they should have all of the rewards that they have in here. However, at the very end of the weekly quest, your very last reward is a 6-hour 2x boost item where whatever you farm, you get 2 times the drops. This allows for a couple things. First of all, the first thing is you can get progress whenever you want. You don't have to wait every 5 to 6 weeks whenever they drop a 2x event for modules, investigation, prowess. That sucks. It really does, because even if you save up all that energy, you have to be tied to your phone. It is, or your computer, wherever you guys play this game, and it's just not healthy. That is not good for people to do. And eventually people are just going to get burnt out, or they're going to wait until the 2x comes, just log in, get their rewards, and get out without any progress. In all honesty, it probably doesn't even make that's not a bad idea, right? But if they had that 6-hour window where it's an item where you turn on a 2x and you get it for 6 hours, the reason why I recommend that is it only gives you one full day throughout the month. So if you were to save up and use your 24 hours for, a specific time, you could. But I like breaking up into 6-hour increments because sometimes people have that much time on their hands and they can just burn through everything that they want in that time, whether it's investigation, prowess materials, shells, which certainly need a 2x on. Um, I think that just solves a lot of problems. People can come in here, and one of the biggest complaints that I see is the grind to get from Hell 1 and Hell 2 to Hell 3 and Hell 4 is very, very tough. And then the grind to Hell 4 to Inferno is also extremely difficult. So if you had those 2x items for 6 hours at a time, people can go in and they can just farm a ton of modules to try and help them jump up to the next stage without them feeling like they're stuck. I truly believe that if they did that, a lot of the problems would be solved. Get rid of the 2x and just put that 6-hour item at the end of every weekly reward. So you can go in and you can do your 2x whenever you want. That's my recommendation. Now, the Ember Trek and the Anti-Sync Echoes, these are decent, you know, uh, suggestions and things that they're implementing. Like, I like this. The Ember Trek normal being completely completed for you if you finished it the last cycle. That's a great thing. Uh, I'm expecting them to add an even more difficult version of Ember Trek in the future as they follow, the normal kind of trajectory in their game where they have the normal, uh, difficulty, then hard, then nightmare, then inferno. So if the next stage comes out, which is like nightmare, Ember Trek, then both normal and hard should be auto cleared every rotation, and then so on and so forth if they ever add inferno. So that's very good. The anti-sync echoes being 5 times, that doesn't matter because it's essentially full manual most of the time anyway. The Union Boss times 5 is a good change, so I do like that. The healthier monetization stuff, I hate this idea. This is really, really bad. At this point, like where we're at, the disparity between whales and free to play, I think is honestly okay. Uh, like it's to a point where whales are always going to be at the top of the food chain. That's the benefit of them spending. You need to incentivize them to spend the money to be able to do that. That's actually healthy. But what you don't want to have happen is giving the whales an even further, uh, you know, edge where the only way you can play the game is if you're a whale. That's bad. I hate looking at this and seeing this. I think the game needs to find ways to generate more money, but I think the best way to do that for them is just through Animus skins and then by introducing new heroes. But the problem with that is they need to give away more lattices for people to be incentivized to pull the new heroes because they got two issues right now. One, there's nothing valuable to spend on in the game. Like if you look at the shop, there's not many things that people want to buy in here. For me, the only thing that I ever really want to buy is the lattice because they're so scarce. I don't ever really want to buy summons or anything like that because there's no reason to pull for a character that you can't lattice up. It just it just doesn't make any sense. So they got two issues. The first one is you don't want to spend money on anything in here other than the $30 lattice pack. Now, if they end up introducing more ways to buy lattices, again, terrible option. They just need to introduce more heroes, SR heroes, rare heroes, and SSR heroes, all of them. They just need to pump them out more. But they need to be able to give us more lattices because if we get enough lattices, then we'll want to pull for more heroes. And that's where you get most of your money. Like all of these other games like Epic 7, Raid Shadow Legends, all of those places get their money from pulling, whether it's from, a type of like character upgrade system that they have or the characters themselves. Like I know Honkai Star Rail has like weapons. I know Raid Shadow Legends has like soul stones and all of these different types of things that you need to pull for. Where this game, it's way too easy to get the characters, and there's also no reason to actually get them because you can't build them. And a lot of times in the end game PvE, it feels like characters need to be built. So I don't I don't like seeing this bullet point, but the only way that I think this makes sense is if they find ways to sell like cheap summon packs while also introducing more ways to get lattices where people want to spend a little bit more money on the packs and pull characters. So the skins they say are in the works. That's good. Now the PvP and real time arena, considerations. They discuss in here like talking to the community about it. And they said they also didn't know that nerfing Revelation would increase the bruiser meta. It wasn't so much the Revelation nerf, and I talked about this in a separate video. It's the Etheria effect that reduces damage being one of those things. And then also Bloodbath is just very, very strong in conjunction with all the healers. So what they end up needing to do is they need to remove that Etheria effect of the reduced damage. I don't know why it's there. And probably reduce the damage mitigation from Bloodbath by, I don't know, maybe 30%, 35%. That just kind of my opinion, but right now it's a very, very stale meta. I don't think anyone likes it. Uh, but I know nerfs and buffs always end up being a controversial topic. But when it comes to the nerfs, I think you just need to be able to adjust things like mid-season. I know they are trying to hold a hard line in saying that we need to only do this at the end of the season, but when you do that, you have so many people spending very valuable resources to be successful in the current season. And then if you nerf something at the end of it, they have to go through the whole thing again. And as I've already mentioned, we're starved for the most important resource in the game where it just doesn't seem fun. And the reason why there's no kind of adjustments to the meta right now, like trying to do counter picks and build new characters, is it's just too risky of a decision to put lattices into a character and then have them not work out because then it's going to take you a whole another 2 months before you can build up fully another character. So, uh, in short, they really need to just adjust the PvP meta throughout the season. If something is way too dominant, I think they need to realize that and do a minor adjustment here and there and see how it works out. And then another 2 weeks go by, see if people have found a counter to it, and if they haven't, then you need to adjust it accordingly. This whole, at the end of the season stuff, I think it's too much of a pipe dream. So the gear and customization upgrades. So they're talking about, changes to build up your character. The module essence shop. This is one of the worst shops in the entire game when it comes to exchange because there's just no way to get this material other than buying it. And all of these items are just completely random. So you don't know what your main stat's going to be. You don't know what your substats are going to be. You don't even know how many matrices you're going to have. So this is not good. I will say the quick and easy way that they can kind of overhaul this to make it valuable because they talk about having a main attribute and a sub attribute being available for purchase, which is good. The only problem is, like I said, you can only get that stuff if you pay for it. And if we continue down the trend of what they were talking about in the earlier snapshot with whales being even more at an advantage because they're going to end up having more packs available. And if you can buy gear that's overpowered instead of farming for it, you are going in the wrong direction. So, a simple solution for me is on these stages like hell and up, every time that you end up clearing a run or something like that, maybe you get 10 of the module essence points, right? You get 10 of that currency. So then that way, as you're farming, even after, 20 runs or whatever, if you don't get a piece, you can come in here and you can try and pinpoint a piece that you're still missing after you've farmed up the module essence currency. But right now, there's no way to get it. They gave it away in one of the most recent events, but other than that, it was like a one-time use, or you have to buy it in the shop in the weekly packs. Like, it's just right here. It's for $11, and again, this is for what 6 pieces, and it's most likely garbage. So that definitely did need an overhaul. But the way that I would do it is you need to take it off of like you can keep it as the pay to win stuff. Like you can keep selling it, but you have to have a way for the free to play people to farm up the currency to also be able to buy this stuff every once in a while. Like with the currency itself. Because if it's just for whales, this is bad. Now, this new gear crafting system, this is a good idea. And I've seen this in another game that Smilegate also makes, other than Epic 7. It's called Outer Plane. And it almost looks completely identical, where they had separate currency. And what you ended up doing was you picked a main stat on your, like on the certain matrix that you wanted. And then that cost you currency. And then you would pick, like the substats that you would want to roll for, and then you roll those substats and you get this currency. So every roll that you have on the gear ends up costing you currency, and you can keep re-rolling as much as you want as long as you have enough currency. Now, it looks like you have the ability to lock stuff in here. I don't know if this is like a one-time lock, but if you're able to lock and then re-roll and then lock pieces along the way, you can eventually build up the perfect piece if you have enough of the currency. And I like that. I do like that. It's just whether or not that they give us enough currency in order for both whales and the free to play people to make this happen, which I would really like that. My hopes are a little low, but it could be possible. So that's pretty nice. And the reason why I think that's an okay thing to do is because after you craft the piece, you still have a chance to roll poorly. So, like, you could put effect accuracy, attack bonus, crit rate, crit damage, and then you just roll all effect accuracy. So that, you still have the RNG there, but if you can build up the perfect piece and then roll it and see how it rolls, I think that makes people want to come back to this module forge and keep doing it. So I do like this idea. Now, when it comes to the Rango Kutsu thing, man, this is not good. Saying that you can get characters to buy, and they're both odd animus, which I also thought was odd because, pun intended, considering Rango Inferno, one of the best characters to use in here is Viper, because Viper brings you the attack down and speed down. Like, he's a fantastic option in here. So now you're kind of removing him from the picture because you can't bring two of the same element. You can, but you really got to kill Rango Kutsu quick. And it's kind of, there's a bit of cheese in the compositions that I'm talking about there, where if you like use a lily and a lilium, you're bringing in artisans and stuff like that, and it's not super consistent. But the issue with those characters is they're both blue characters, so then you can't use Viper. That might not matter considering that they're very overpowered, but still selling a solution to the problem. I really hate when companies do this. It's not good. The only thing that I think they need to do on Rango, a lot of these characters, like, there's plenty of free to play teams out there that can do this. It's just not very fast. So that's mainly the pain point. The RNG associated with Rango is one of the bigger issues as well. If you understood his rotations, like if his rotations were static where you knew what his element was going to be whenever he switched, that could help you speed tune and do things. And then also, if they ended up just reducing the overall like attack and speed of the side ads, I think that would be enough of a nerf. You can also nerf, the HP of Rango. These are very simple things that they could do without selling you units. I really dislike that. They talk about the future events with the RNG and all those things. That's perfectly fine, but they still need to give you better rewards. Every single event that they come out with each week should give you a lattice or at least fragments for it. Because I know they've been releasing like 2 or 3 different events along with the side event. So what they've ended up doing is, like, in the challenges, you'll have 2 events here. So like the Cyber Shadows, which the meme hunt, you can't get a lattice here. They should be adding fragments in here. Like 15 fragments here, another 15 here. So maybe it's not a full one, right? And then in the cubic game, you can get fragments here. So you're building up the possibility of maybe getting one lattice between these two. And then on this event, like in the event tabs, this Dazzler puzzle, you can get one after you go through this event, like towards the end of it, right? So there's another one. If you're getting 2 lattices and things like that with every weekly update, that's awesome. 2 or 3 lattices from the events, it's perfect. The other thing that I think they need to implement is a monthly quests, right? Where you can get even more fragments and then at the end of it another lattice. They just need to give you more of them. If if they gave you more of them, I don't think the dungeons as well, like all of the different threshold dungeons and shell dungeons, would feel as hard as they are because you'd have enough lattices to build up your characters, giving them those stats and increasing, their capabilities. So I think that's a simple fix. It's just odd that they are really clinging on to the lattice stuff, even though they only sell one a week. I just don't get it. They talk about a big global launch and all of those things. So we'll see what the celebration is. I've seen some memes where people are talking about how we were just the beta for China. It kind of feels like that when you see this, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, like in all of this stuff, they're essentially just saying, this is what we're thinking. Can you give us some feedback? All of that stuff. Other than this module forge, this is something that I thought was good. And then also the Ember Trek changes were also good. But then everything else was just, hey, we need your feedback. So that's what I would do. Just wanted to get my thoughts out there on this and the things that I think make this quite easy, uh, in my opinion. But anyway, let me know what your guys' thoughts are below. Whether or not they watch this, I don't know. I think they do watch my content, actually. I had something recently happen with the company. So, uh, yeah, just throwing it out here. But like I said, I'm going to write it down on the Discord as well. Anyway, guys, that's all I got for you. Catch you on the next one. See you.